Hunyuan 2.5, in my opinion, is currently the best AI 3D mesh generator, and I'm going to be showing you how you can use it completely for free so that you can generate your own 3D models, as well as giving you some comparisons with some other services. So let's get started. So check the link in the description. It's going to bring you over to this page. Now the website is going to be in Chinese and I'm using Google Chrome. So in order to actually understand what's written over here, just right click and go to translate to English and you should be able to see what's written in English. Now you want to go ahead and click on login. And over here you want to click on mail. Now all you have to do over here to create a free account is put in your email address. So I'll just type a random email right now. Just say email@gmail.com. Obviously you would put your own email address and then click on get verification code. And as soon as you click on agree, it's going to send a verification code to your email. So check your email for that verification code and then you'll type in whatever number it is over here. Again, I'm just typing a random number and then you can go ahead and accept their user service agreement and click on login and you would have created a free account with Hunyuan. Once you've logged in, you'll see this page and then just click on application experience. It'll say thank you for your application. You have unlocked the 3D function. So this is the website and this is where we are going to unlock some magic by turning an image into a 3D model. Also, I want to mention, you can see over here they give you 20 credits per day, which means that you can generate 20 3D models completely for free, which in my opinion is very generous. Now this is very important. Whenever you're using an image, you want to generate images of something that looks very stylized or cartoony, or maybe like something that's been sculpted in 3D, or maybe even something that looks like a toy, because the model seems to be fine-tuned to give you these stylized end results. If you upload an image that is, very photorealistic, the 3D model that you're going to receive is still going to look stylized. So just keep that in mind. So if you start straight away by providing the AI with a stylized image, you are definitely going to get the best results. Okay, so with that in mind, the two services that you can use on here are Vincent 3D and To Access 3D. So Vincent 3D is going to be text to 3D mesh and To Access 3D is going to be image to 3D mesh. So let's try both of them. Let's start with Vincent 3D. So over here it's as simple as typing in a prompt and they also give you a guide, so you should specify what your subject is with a single body. In this case it's an owl. You should mention its features, so it's got big brown eyes and it's dark brown, and then you can also specify the style, whether it's realistic or it looks like a toy or Play-Doh, whatever comes to mind, but I notice the end result is still going to look like something stylized. Anyway, over here by select model, you definitely want to make sure you've got 2.5 selected, which is the new model. And then we've got PBR map. So this is very useful. This is physically based rendering. So this is just a way to create realistic materials that accurately simulate how light interacts with surfaces. And you just simply turn that on. So for instance, let's say you've got a squirrel that's wearing a gold pendant. The PBR map understands how to separate those material properties, like it will make the chain look a lot more shinier than the squirrel itself. So being able to generate PBR maps is very, very useful. I would definitely recommend leaving that on. Then you've got texture style. I just leave this on general unless you really want to generate another texture style. Then it's as simple as clicking on generate now. And when you click on that, you'll see this screen with all 4 models generating, and it will only use 1 credit, and it's actually going to generate 4 different models for you. So just wait for that to finish, and then you'll see your end results over here. Now you've essentially got 4 models that you can download, which is amazing. So 1 credit gave me 4 models using text to 3D mesh generation. But I'm going to go ahead and just select this one. So you can select whatever you want from the objects that have been generated. And here we go. So here's our owl, our brown owl, and it did a pretty good job. You can see this is very stylized. It still looks like some sort of toy. But what's really impressive over here, so number one, you can already see the PBR textures applied onto it. Certain parts of the model look a bit shinier than others, although I do think the material separation could have still been a bit better. But you can see we've got shinier eyes. But the most impressive part is when I click on the white mold or solid preview, just look at the level of sharpness with detail that's been generated over here. I mean, you've got individual feathers on this owl that have been reconstructed, and this is just from a text prompt. So this is ridiculous. I mean, look at the talons, just the level of quality and sharpness of detail on the talons, these beautiful big eyes on the owl. it looks amazing. Here's our base color, and then you can even look at the normal map. But this is just ridiculous, man. I mean, just from a text prompt, you get a complete 3D model that has been generated. And if you're doing 3D printing, I feel like right now you could probably just save this out and 3D print it straight away. But yeah, that's it. So congratulations, you've generated your first 3D model using text. So on the right hand side, we also have some other options. If you wanted to, you could rig a character, but they have very strict criteria for this to work. That it needs to be, it needs to look like real people or cartoon characters, and they need to be in the T-pose, etc., etc., to do all of that rigging. But I'm not going to be showcasing that in this tutorial, but that is an option. You don't need to focus on geometric style or even the scene setup in this case. You'd want to download this and take it into your 3D program of choice, whether that's Blender or Cinema 4D or whatever you're using. They've got a whole bunch of formats over here. You can see we've got the standard ones like OBJ and FBX, STL, which would be used for 3D printing, and then GLB. I tend to use GLB because it's a format that basically bundles everything into a single format, so it'll be the 3D model and the textures as just one file. And then just go ahead and click on download and save that to your PC, and voila, you officially have a 3D model that's been generated from text. So now the next option is to use To Access 3D, which is image to 3D, and this is what I prefer to use because I like to generate my own images and then turn that into a 3D model. So just go ahead and select that, and you can see over here you can either use a single image or multiple images. I'll show you how to actually generate multiple images, and then you just simply upload your image over here. You choose the model, enable PBR maps, and then click on generate. So when it comes to using your own image, they do have a very specific guideline that you should follow. You can see it says it should be a simple background with just a single color. It should not contain text. It needs to be a single body, and don't make the subject too small. So when I generate my own images, I actually like to use ChatGPT 4.0. So you can do that on ChatGPT directly. I'm using Sora over here because I'm using the paid version of ChatGPT Plus, but you can do it for free. And you can see I generated this image of the squirrel, and this squirrel is what's going to be used for my comparison later. So the prompt that I used to generate this type of image, I'll show you over here. I just said generate a toy image of a squirrel wearing sunglasses, and I just specified the rest of the details that should be present on my squirrel. But the most important thing was generate a toy image, because like I said, the results that get generated on Hunyuan tend to look more stylized or like toys. So I made sure to specify that in my prompt. So with this entire prompt, it gave me this super cool image of the squirrel. His name is Little Acorn. He's a rapping squirrel, and I'm going to turn him into a 3D model. So now I could just upload this image as a single image, or I could use multiple images as well. So I'm going to show you first using a single image. So I've uploaded my image over here. It identifies the subject. I make sure I'm following these guidelines so that I get the best results. I want to make sure 2.5 is enabled, PBR is enabled, and then I'll just click on generate now, and it will take me over to this screen, and I'll show you the generated model using a single image. So there we go, there's the 3D model from a single image. And again, it's crazy that AI can even do this. There is a problem here, however. The sunglasses have now turned into visors. For some reason, that's not what I wanted. But the rest of the construction looks quite good. I mean, details are sharp. You can see there's, the zipper, the pendant. We've got the sneakers over here. Even some detail with the fur on our squirrel. But we definitely need to find a way to fix the sunglasses. And that's where the multi-image is going to come in handy. So by To Access 3D, if you go ahead and select multiple images, you can see over here you can provide images for the front view, rear, left, and the right side view. But how do we generate multiple images from a single image? And it's very easy to do if you're using ChatGPT 4.0. So with ChatGPT, I simply just uploaded this image over here and then just typed in the prompt, generate a side view of this image, and then it gave me a side view. Then I saved that. Then I took this same image again and typed in generate a back view of this image. So now I've got a side view and a back view, which is more than enough to use with multiple images. So now it's as simple as dragging my front view, and I'll type my right view and then my back view. You can also generate a left view, but I noticed that just having these three views supplied to the system was more than enough to generate a much better version of that 3D model. So once all my images are uploaded, I'll just simply click on generate now, let that 3D mesh generate, and then I'll show you the end result of using multiple images. So here's my end result using multiple images with no cherry picking. It's the first result I got, but you can see it immediately solved the issue with the sunglasses because the AI has a reference image for the back and the side profile, so now it knows how to construct that. However, I'll probably run this one more time because I don't like the texture on this tail, where it's a lot darker over there. But you can see that the multiple images can definitely give you a much better end result that's a lot more accurate. But again, putting this on the solid preview, I mean, yeah, just the level of sharpness with the detail from AI, from analyzing images, this is just mind-blowing to me that it can even do this. But yeah, so definitely consider using the multiple image input to generate your 3D models. Now I also want to show you some other models that I generated, just to show you that AI is not perfect, right? You're going to get good results and you'll get some bad results as well. This one I thought was an amazing result. I used 3 images over here, as you can see, to generate this backpack, and the end result looks absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this. Even with the solid preview, you get all of these beautiful sharp details with this backpack. I tried this also with a porcelain vase. This was the image, but it does struggle to reconstruct all of this detail. You'll see it right now with the textures. It doesn't really represent that peacock or those flowers, but the mesh itself looks quite good. But it was struggling with the texture projection. This one blew me away. I mean, it's a single image that's just a side view of a Ultra Boost Adidas sneaker, and it actually managed to reconstruct the entire sneaker. As you can see, we've even got shoelaces on here. So this is just incredible. I mean, you could use this straight away with a character if you wanted to. But yeah, really good job with reconstructing this. And then I also tried, this is where there was a limitation. This is a more realistic image, and that's why I said stick with stuff that's a little bit more stylized, cartoony, or maybe looks like toys. Of course, this is a bad result, and I want to show you the bad result as well. You can see over here, this just tends to look more stylized, even though the image is realistic, but there's issues with the hands, and I just think this looks really bad. So that can happen. You'll get good results and you'll get bad results. This one, I just experimented uploading an image with multiple objects just spread out to see how it would actually analyze this. And you can see now this is a single mesh, but it generated everything that it basically saw in the image. To generate this type of image, I used ChatGPT 4.0. You can see I uploaded the squirrel character, and I just said separate all distinct parts on a sheet for image to 3D, and this is what it ended up giving me. So yeah, go ahead and experiment and see what you can end up creating, but remember that AI is not perfect. So here are just some other objects I generated with Hunyuan 2.5, and this is all lit up and it's been rendered with Eevee. But man, it's just crazy, right? I mean, look at this robotic dog and all of these hard surface details that it manages to reconstruct. Amazing. This also surprised me. This was just a single image of a realistic looking human being character, but look at how it managed to, you know, generate all of these beautiful folds on the bomber jacket and on the pants. Right, just from an image. This is crazy, guys. This is really crazy that AI can do this. Now, of course, the topology is terrible. But once AI solves that and it, you know, generates clean topology with this level of quality or even better quality than this, I don't even know what to say after that. But yeah, this is crazy, just so you can see what AI is capable of generating. So just a quick example, once you've downloaded your format of Hunyuan, I'm using Blender. I'm just going to drag and drop my model in here. I don't need to adjust any of these settings. I just click on import GLTF, and there we go. I got my 3D model. Now I can go ahead and scale this up. It's usually on the solid preview. Just scale it up, put it back on the material preview, and there we go. So a 3D model that's been generated from an image. And maybe I really like how this looks, but if you wanted to, you could even switch over to texture paint, and maybe there's some texture projection issues over here. You could just fix them by painting on them. So you can change the color over here. Okay, or I can continue, you know, modifying the sneaker, right? Add some other details on here. So directly painting on my 3D mesh, which is cool. I like that feature in Blender that you can just do that directly on the 3D model. Or to maybe, like I said, fix some issues with the texture projection. But yeah, this is very powerful, and it's amazing that we can even do this with artificial intelligence. Just another tip with Blender. I remember this generated a PBR map, which means that we've got this selective material property on different parts of the object. Like you can see the sunglasses are obviously a lot shinier than the rest of our squirrel. But let's say maybe some parts are still too shiny. If you want to, you can switch over to texture paint. And over here, just make sure you have roughness map selected. And over here, basically, the darker this value goes, the more glossiness you'll be applying onto your material, and the lighter this color goes, the more matte it's going to look. So you'll remove that glossiness. So you'll see over here, if I just paint, and I'm using a soft round brush, if I just paint on top of my jacket over here with a lighter color, I can remove this glossiness on the bomber jacket. Maybe I feel like it's too much, but just by literally painting over this region. So another awesome feature in Blender regarding having a little bit more control over the texturing and the way the materials are supposed to be applied. You just adjust that using the texture paint section. So there we go. So now our bomber jacket has less of a shine to it, and I think that looks a little bit better. But yeah, that's how you control that. This is also very important. Remember I showed you you can use texture paint to fix some of the texture projection imperfections, or to you essentially paint on the roughness map to control the glossiness of certain objects, right? So let's say you've painted on your model. If you don't do this, it's not going to save your essentially the changes you've made. You want to make sure you're here by layout and by texture paint, and just click on save all images. Very important, click on save all images. Once you've done that, you want to go to File, and by External Data, make sure you also select Automatically Pack Resources. This is going to make sure all of those texture files are packed into your blend file, and then you can go ahead and save this. So make sure you do that to save your changes. So now you know how to generate 3D models either using text or an image, so go out there and have fun with that. But now I want to show you some comparisons, which I think is quite important, because this will show you why I think Hunyuan 2.5 is currently the best 3D AI image generator. So my first comparison over here is going to be between the previous version, which is 2.0, and the current version 2.5, and the difference over here is night and day, right? You can see how much more fidelity is being generated with this model. The amount of sharpness and detail that's included is, yeah, it's insane, right? There's just way more detail on here. We've got detail with the fur, detail with the sneakers. This just looks like a low poly version of this model. So obviously a massive improvement over here between the 2.5 model and the 2.0 model. That also applies with the overall texturing. I mean, you can see that 2.5 is much better than 2.0 because we've got PBR materials, right? That material separation makes this model look much better than this because it obviously interacts a lot more accurately with the light that's within the scene. So yeah, massive improvement with 2.5 over 2.0. So this comparison is very important because I'm directly comparing Hunyuan to other services that can also generate 3D models using either text or an image. But I think just from looking at this, it's quite obvious that Hunyuan 2.5 is the king. I mean, look at the amount of detail and quality that's generated with this mesh in comparison to Trellis, Tripo 2.5, and Rodin 1.5. By the way, all of these other services are linked in the description of this video if you want to go and try them and generate models on there. You can also generate models for free. But right now, in my opinion, the king is Hunyuan. I mean, just from looking at this, look at the fidelity, right? Look at the amount of sharp detail that's generated on this mesh compared to Trellis. I think the only other one that's maybe competing with this could be Tripo 2.5, but Tripo 2.5 does not have, you know, that sharp detail that's generated with Hunyuan. And then Rodin is lacking a lot of information and detail on here. But I will be talking about Rodin a little bit later because I think Rodin has the potential to surpass all of these in the near future because they're going to introduce some other new features that I'll be showcasing. But right now, at this current moment, Hunyuan 2.5 is the king of generating 3D models either from text or image. Now here's another comparison with the texture enabled. Trellis is the only one out of these services that does not generate a PBR. But you can see Tripo is probably the only other one that does a good job at this. But look at Hunyuan, right? Hunyuan's even getting the texturing to look a lot better. You can see the back view. Trellis completely messed this up. It's like the squirrel got burnt over here on his back. But there's the back view as well. So you let me know what you think But I personally think that Hunyuan, that's why I put a crown on his head. Like, he deserves the crown. This is the king at the moment when it comes to generating these 3D models. There is another service I actually forgot to mention, which is 3D AI Studio, and I think they're doing a very good job. You can see here's the results from that image. All right, and then let me show you the solid view as well, so you can see what the mesh looks like. Now, of course, both of these are extremely dense and triangulated meshes. All right, so topology is still not good, but yeah, I think 3D AI Studio is doing a pretty good job over here. Let me switch back to solid so you can see. But yeah, there's just something about Hunyuan 2.5 when it comes to generating sharper details. It just currently seems to be unmatched. So of course this technology has limitations, and the biggest limitation is going to be topology. If I turn on the wireframe, you can see that these are extremely dense triangulated meshes. It's probably fine for 3D printing, and maybe you can get away with it with having an unoptimized mesh within Blender in your 3D scene, but if you're using this for game development, I don't think this is going to work at all. So yes, we need better topology. However, Rodin can generate meshes in quads, and there's some other technology I'll show you just now that's going to revolutionize the edge flow and overall topology of generated meshes. So topology is still an issue. The next one is texture projection. It's not 100% accurate. You do have to do some cleanup. And then of course, if I select one of these meshes, look at the UVs. Like these UVs, this is a complete and utter mess with the UV layout. So they definitely need to find a way to improve this. This does remind me of UVs that get generated with photogrammetry as well. It's extremely chaotic like this. Another limitation is the fact that the meshes we generate are usually stylized, or they look like toys or cartoon characters. You can't do something that's extremely photorealistic with high quality and high detail. So that's a major limitation. Another one is PBR material generation. I mean, the AI does have a decent understanding of what should have more glossiness than others, but I'm sure that will improve. And then the fact that this is a single mesh, right? The AI is not intelligent enough to understand that these glosses should be its own separate object. But there is some technology on the horizon that I'm going to show you that's actually going to solve that issue. But right now, once you understand the limitations of this technology, you know what you can use it for. I still think it's pretty cool that you can use a single image to bring a 3D object to life. So yeah, amazing technology. So I also want to show you what's on the horizon with this technology, and I think Rodin has the potential to jump into first place over here. They did generate this model, which doesn't look impressive right now, but they can generate in quads, so they already have the ability to generate cleaner topology. But what they are going to release in June 2025 I think is amazing, and this solves the issue of generating 3D models that are going to be in segments or parts, right? This allows you to customize these objects, or to edit them a lot easier if you can have these pieces in parts. And you can see over here how much sharper the details are also going to be. So do not sleep on Rodin. They have a lot of potential. You can see over there, generate into parts. So that's going to be Rodin 2. That's coming in June 2025. So you'll have cleaner topology, better edge flow, PBR materials, and you'll be able to generate in segments or in parts. So that's something really nice to look out for. There is some other technology that's also been worked on. This one is called MIDI. And just to explain it briefly, you upload an image. It creates instances of every object within that image. It creates the 3D objects, puts everything back together, and then you'll have that entire scene with objects that are separated. All right, so that's great. There's another one called STD Gen, where you can upload an image of a character. It will separate their body, separate the clothing, separate the hair. So there is technology that's being worked on to create this segmentation. But keep your eyes on Rodin. Rodin 2, I think, is going to really shake up this industry with the ability to generate higher quality 3D models that can also be in segments. And now another technology that I'm still waiting to get released is by NVIDIA called Meshtron. This one will give us, better edge flow and overall topology. We'll see how this improves though. Some of these results look good, and it's generating this from a point cloud, but it's only until we get it into our own hands that we can judge this. So that's going to be the end of this tutorial, and hopefully that's given you some insight into what is currently possible with using AI to generate 3D meshes. And now you can generate your own using Hunyuan 2.5, or you can go and try the other services. Remember, everything is linked in the description. Anyway, you guys are super awesome, so stay tuned for some more videos and tutorials, and goodbye.